last night are still drying off at home, but they stuck it out and they did get a couple of hours of great entertainment. Slightly different program this evening, but some of the same performers are back for round 2 this evening as well. Could I just tell you all, you obviously know where the toilets are. We have Culture Catering here at the back, and we'd ask you to support them during the course of the evening. And I'm just going to hand you, as I say, welcome you all, and welcome in particular those who are joining us online. Can I hand you over now to Seamus Burren, who is our concert for the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for saying your prayers this morning. The weather's going to hold up. The problem yesterday was we had a group of session musicians from the Land Bar, and the minute they started playing, the rain started. So we're going to put them on at the end tonight. That's all right. So I want to welcome you all back. This is it's wonderful to be part of this because most people like me who are involved in the arts and haven't been doing much for the last year and a half. Signs on us. Done nothing, only ate biscuits and watched Netflix. So I want to just something I did recently on the telly. I want to recap on the whole COVID thing. It's a piece called "Away Goes McGinty." In the beginning, there was fear and confusion and disbelief. No one could get their heads around this global pandemic, the Hiroshima and Nagasaki of the common cold, the bold human being exposed by a dirty whore of a bat, and away goes McGinty. The world is upset, the scientists perplexed. No one had a clue about what to do except for us, the common man. The plan: buy toilet rolls and stop in the house. Look to Twitter for advice and cover up any shortfallings with sign language. Those were the tools. And for the next 3 or 4 weeks, stay at home, wash your hands, stay calm. And in Ireland, we did. We did. We took this news very well. We were the dog that sat when we were told to sit. If truth be told, so we needed the rest. We needed to stop and catch our breath because our little country has been through so much, tramped into a corner by the Brits. But now we're sophisticated and interesting and laid back. We say the right thing. We can stand out and blend in all in the one sentence. While others shout from the rooftops, well, we wouldn't even get up on a stool. And in early 2020, around about 18 months ago, we reverted to slow and wistful. We started looking at the trees and the hedges and the sky and the soft glow of the sun as it came down on the evenings. And the 4 weeks turned 8, and we were still standing at the gate looking out across into the field, somewhere near the house. And then the poet came out then and started on about clarity and serenity and beauty and all kinds of bollocks. And the new norm was born, the big yawn. Stay still and smiling while slowly going insane. That was the game, and now that's done. Not only did we stay at home for a month, but we stayed at home for 18 months and more. Yes. And of course, everything is lovely. The world is lovely. Ireland is lovely. Leitrim and Cavan, well, lovelier than a naked sheep on Sheemore Hill. And someone killed for that amount of loveliness and nature and a phone with a good camera. But fuck me, I can't take much more. I am sore in the head from lying in bed and politely saying, we'll get there. Where? So the only light at the end of the tunnel is a reflection of the light that was there before. Nothing more. And if that's it, well, good luck. No, I don't want to hope. I want to hear a bit of music. I want a night in a pub. I want a pint. I want to have a long conversation about rusty galvanized. Is that too much to ask? Just to talk to someone about corrugated iron? Or to be here? Listen to a bit of music. Thank you. as the boys from Glen brought on the rain last night, tonight we are starting with a little bit of culture, because with me you'll be getting a lot of agriculture, but this is a bit more. This is a little more, a little bit more than that. We have Andrew Cavan here tonight, this evening, today, this afternoon, and Andrew is any of you that heard him warming up a while back. It's fantastic, and you're in for a real treat. And Gavin will be joined by his sister Neve, who has recently married a car park attendant. And so we congratulate her and John Paul. But so we'd like to welcome on stage and Andrew Gavin and Neve on the piano.
everyone, and good afternoon, and thank you to Seamus for his wonderful words of wisdom in introducing us. Just to re-echo Seamus' sentiment, it's been a difficult year and a half for all of us. Of course, I don't need to remind anyone of that, but for all of us in the arts, we're only now getting back up on our feet. And it's a bit like pushing a stone up a hill, but we'll get a bit of momentum behind it. So thankfully, things are coming back to life. So it's really lovely for both of us to be here with you. Thank you for welcoming us so warmly to the concert today. That aria is Ebbata questa Ciaro from Bellini's I Capuletti e Montecchi, which is his story of Romeo and Juliet set in Italian. And it's a song about love, it's a song about war, and it's luckily enough from an opera that I'm getting to rehearse at the minute down in Wexford. So it's really quite special for me to be able to share that with you all before the people in Wexford get to hear it in about a month and a half's time. So, so we'll continue on with the theme of love, but we might lighten it up a little bit. So we're going to take a piece from The Gondoliers by Gilbert and Sullivan, which is a tune that I hope will be familiar to many of you. Take a pair of sparkling eyes.
Take a pair of sparkling eyes, hidden never and anon in a merciful eclipse. Do not heed them as a prize, having passed the Rubicon. Take a pair of rosy lips. Take a figure trimly bland, such as admiration weds. Be particular in this. Take a tender little hand, print with dainty fingerets. Press it, in parenthesis. Oh, take all these, you lucky man. Take and keep them if you can. If you can, take all these, you lucky man. Take and keep them if you can. If you can. Take a pretty little cart, quite a miniature affair, hung about with trellis fine. Furnish it upon the spot with the treasures rich and rare I've endeavored to define. Live to love and love to live, you may ripen at your ease, going on the sunny side. It has nothing more to give, you're a dainty man to please. If you're not satisfied, oh, take my counsel, happy man, act upon it if you can, take my counsel, happy man, act upon it if you can, if you can. Take my counsel, happy man. Act upon it if you can, if you can, if you can. Act upon it if you can, happy man, if you can.
We're going to move away from the worlds of opera and operetta now and into some Irish songs that are quite special to both of us. So I've selected two pieces by one of our most famous composers, Thomas Moore. Two tunes which I hope, again, will be familiar to you. The Minstrel Boy, obviously an incredibly powerful song that's as resonant today as it was when it was written. And The Last Rose of Summer, which, again, given the weather you've had here over the last 2 days, I think is probably about time we said goodbye to the last of the summer, so it's fitting. So The Minstrel Boy and The Last Rose of Summer.
the sword he hath girded on, and his wild harp sung behind him. Land of song, said the warrior proud, for all the world it raised thee. One sword at least thy right shall guard, one proud song shall praise thee. The minstrel fell, but the foeman's chain could not keep that proud soul under. The happy love ne'er spoke again, for he tore its gold asunder, and said no chain shall sully thee, a fount of hope and peace. Thy songs were meant for the pure and free. They will never sound in slavery.
have one more song for you, which is, I'm sure, needs absolutely no introduction, but is my guilty pleasure of a song. It's my absolute favourite, and every time I say it to people, they roll their eyes at me, but I don't care because I let sing it. So this is Danny Boy.
So that's the culture over. Now for some agriculture. Farm. I hated spreading top dressing, manure, dung, when I was young. Farming's not for everyone. Oh, now I could cock hay all day, shank butts and rake and ted and turn. I loved to burn bushes too, and whins and fodder. Foddering was okay, run off out through the fields with a bag load of hay, racing the brother up Killarn Hill, 2 bales apiece. sink into your hoss and daub and blue clay. The tramped ground weeping, the silver kings seeping, Killarn's mud all mush and sorrow. Ploughing through gaps and collapsed drains, the outlying farm that never quite got reclaimed, the good intention shamed by cowtracks and whins and briars and scrub and rushes and bushes, only good to burn. That was our song. Me and the brother, he was older and hardier, but I was thick, a big thick head that you couldn't bait with a big stick. It's hard to bait being thick, so Mammy said, and she'd know. She had 4 of us. And for the record, I hated farming, especially spreading dung, no fun. But in the spring of every year, that was our author, me and the brother in the top field with a bottle of tea, no author, just tea in a bottle and heaps and heaps and heaps of dung, all delivered by the 135 and the link box and a homemade pull-up tailboard, a contraption before his time, the old fella, the inventor of labour-saving devices, except when it came to spreading dung. No, that was done by hand because we had wet land, and spreading dung with the grape helps teenage boys grow. You can't reap if you don't sow, and although we never sowed, we kept spreading the manure. The Leitrim man's version of Mass. Not sure if it's doing any good, but keep doing it all the same. In this field we pray and prance about with slightly soiled farmyard compost. Exercise, our bread of life. Feed the land back to itself, like eating your own arm. And as the bottle of tea cools in the small field with the 2 fools and the setting sun, the brothers meet, the work complete, the mounds of dung all now beneath our feet. This as close as ever we'll be, me and my brother in the top field, with blistered hands and charred knees. You can have the land, my friend. I look elsewhere for my rainbow's end. Not easy to be found, but there has to be easier ways of falling down. You take the thorny crown, and I'll take my leave and begin my search. You look after the rood and perch, the small holding, the home place, the land of our father's birth. You're the better man, to be fair. And I left my brother standing there, farming. Thank you. I'm going to get all romantic now. I have a couple of pieces about romance, and the first one is again about my father and well, they're both actually about my father and my mother. Me eyes open wide, and me in the bed. It was 4 in the morning, and I yawned and scratched at me head, and thou lad was there, looking down with a stare, and an oil can and a sharpening stone, and sections for a mowing arm, and rivets and a hammer. Get up, you, says he, and give me a hand. I'm going to mow the bottom in Drummondshire this morning. This was outlying land, says he. It's dry. It's dry. It's not dry, but it's as dry as it'll be. Come on, says he, I haven't long. Good enough, says I. And it's wet. I'll wear me Wellington so, aye. And clothes, says he, or you'll catch that yoke in the mowing machine. The string of me pyjamas, you know. He only ever came into the room when there was work to be done, when he was alive. Ah, well, he's dead, gone 20 years now. We buried him and all. He even said goodbye to me mother the day he died. Good luck, says he, I'm gone. A man of few words. He had every meadow mowed bar one, this one, the one in Drummondshire. Left it too long. But there's a bit of weather coming now, says he, a bit of light wind and sun, and the frogs and swallows are not carrying on, are good enough today for hay. Come on, says he, I haven't long. And he left the room, never closed the door. I had never seen that before, him coming into the room when he was dead. And I got up out of the bed. I never said, that's strange, I must be dreaming. I didn't go around the house shouting and screaming, thou lad's alive. Hallelujah. And that's for sure. Because my old fella, he could be a contrary hooer when there was work to be done. So I got up and I put on my clothes and I went downstairs and I put on my Wellingtons, and thou lad was there, combing his hair. And my mother was there too, making the breakfast, porridge and an egg and tea. And I looked at her to see if she was pleased to be back boiling eggs and providing meals, but she wasn't. She was the same as him when there was work to be done, determined and robust and steadfastly strong. But he lit up when she brought him his tea, and so did she, although nothing was said, and he had his breakfast, his porridge, his egg and his bread. And then he looked at the clock, and he looked at me, and he looked at her, and then says he to me, he says, go out you and fill a drum of diesel and get a rake and a fork and an oil can and a grace gun. Go on, don't be long.
And I got up and I went out and I left them be. I started the tractor and I put on the mowing arm and I filled the drum of diesel and I gathered up tools for the day and I kept a watch on the house and the back door and the backyard where we used to play. And then the door opened softly, but no one came through, and I doubted me senses, and me sanity. And then I heard Radio Erin from back in the day, and the house filled with music. An old Waylon Jennings tune played, and that wasn't right at 4:15 in the morning, and work to be done. And I ran to the house, and I opened the door, and I peeped in case something was wrong, but it wasn't. And I saw something that I had never seen before. The two of them dancing around on the floor and carrying on, and Radio Erin playing their song. And I didn't like watching, so I went back to bed. Says I, that man has no interest in mowing. This is all in my head. And I took off the Wellingtons and I went upstairs. I didn't sleep, but I fell into a trance, and I said a prayer that night for all couples, living and dead, so that they too might dance. Thank you. This is a very short wee piece, and I'm going to lead into. We're going to have Aileen Fitzpatrick and Kieran McManus up for few tunes, and I'll just leave you with this. It's again about me mother and father. They asked me what love is, to put it into words. So I went back to where I learned it. My father and mother at the kitchen table of a summer's evening. She was working in the textile factory. He was busy on the farm. And she'd be going back to do overtime. And to save time, he'd peel her 2 potatoes and leave them to one side. This huge big man with fumbling hands, exposing his love with knife and thumb. And for those of us who sat watching on, we felt the strength of their bond. We never saw them kiss or whisper. We never saw them embrace. We never saw them holding hands. But every now and then he'd peel her 2 potatoes and leave them to one side. And somehow she knew that they were hers. And somewhere inside, she smiled. Thank you. So we have Aileen and Kieran to give you a few tunes. Thank you very much. And Kieran Fitzpatrick, sorry.
Hi, how are you? That was a set of jigs to start. Jerry Beaver's Hat and the Burren Breaks. We're going to continue now with a set of reels. The Duke of Leinster and Castle Kelly. We're going to continue now with another set of jigs. I'm not sure what the first one's called. The second one's the Cat's Meow and then the Cliss Moher. to finish off now with a set of reels. The first one is PJ King's, then the Duke of Leinster, and then we finish off with the glass of beer. Thanks.
Thank you very much to Aileen and Kieran Fitzpatrick, and Kieran McManus is going to be back up very shortly. We're going to have a little bit of dancing, so I want to, it's my excuse to tell you about my first dance. I went to my first dance in 1980 when I was a young fella, just at the tail end of the dance, the old show bands or dance halls anyway. It wasn't all it was cracked up to be, the dance hall scene, especially at the tail end of it back in the early 80s. Not for those of us who had just left Legoland and walked straight on to the junior team. Not easy when you're 16. The officer in charge at Horny Grand Central with his ear cocked full time standing to attention. All hands to the pump on weeknights, but this was the weekend. Time to dream a little and wash ourselves. Time to dust off the hay and turf, pull the ticks, or at least give them a good fix of brute, have them smelling right for the weekend nights in Ballinamore or the Mayflower in Drumshambo, the Beecher's Brook of the dance hall scene. Most dance halls had romantic themes back then, like the Rainbow or the Mayflower or the Wonderland in Bawn, or just plain Ballignat that had no romance at all. But this was the weekend of my first dance, and the Wonderland and its reservoirs was where I get my chance. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting so little. A giant waiting room is all it was, waiting for the love doctor to hand us our prescription, and a small crowd. That observation would come in handy later. And the band was nothing to write home about either. They played the Hucklebuck a few times, and then a few more times later, and said thank you for dancing, even when no one did. There was only a handful of girls there at the start, and their lifts, these older bachelor neighbours who had provided transport, and although they had bad hips, they liked driving young ones to dances. The scent that lingered in their cars helped numb the loneliness of their country lives. No magic tree was needed in a cortina full of youthful ladies laughing and a ticket in and a supper served. Romance by association. And the presentation of these girls was mainly down to the caretaker of the hall, who had put all the old church pews along the longest wall in case anyone wanted to sit, and this is where they sat, perched on the backs of pews, waiting for the queues of men to choose one of them to dance. Joe Clamping would choose them all if he got half a chance. Joe was 60 and loved to dance and sell raffle tickets for a singing fish. And he had this young one out on the floor who wasn't quite ready for his level of enthusiasm. Joe's up and let me at him style was being rebuked. I must remember that, I thought. Enthusiasm is wasted on the youth. At least the band thanked Joe for dancing. It was time for me to make my move. Maybe it's because it was my first time there, but I could feel everyone stare when she wouldn't dance. And maybe I didn't ask her right. I had said, would you like to dance? Okay, I said it under my breath, but she must have known I wasn't asking for a loaf of bread. I rephrased the question and said it louder. I said, are you dancing? Her friend said, no, she's not, but I am. And she grabbed me by the hand. It was like asking for a loaf of bread and getting a pot of jam. She said, my name's Pamela. I haven't seen you before, but I couldn't answer because we were now out on the floor and I was no dancer. I said, there's a small crowd. She said, there is. I didn't know what to say after that. She said, they'll all come in when the pubs are closed. And I said, I suppose, but I don't suppose I knew what I supposed. I was 16 years old and I couldn't concentrate with the battle of the bulls that was going on elsewhere. Luckily, Joe Clamping had found himself a new partner. He was pushing her out onto the floor as if her battery was flat and he was trying to start her. And the man said, let's change the tempo and slow it down. And I found myself looking around for some divine inspiration. And the conversation bubble just fell like lead, and Pamela moved closer and I went red. And before she hit the rocket castle, I said, would you like to buy a ticket for Joe Clamping's raffle? She said, is that what you have in your pocket? More blood ran to me head and to the raffle tickets. I said, it's very warm. She said, it is. And you're very red. I said, I think I might be coming down with a fever. She said, you should have stayed in bed. Joe Clamping smiled because he had his one started. Thank you. Okay, here we're going to have a little bit of proper dancing with the McManus brothers. Okay, thank you. They're coming back, they're coming back. Just want to tell you something about the glittery ball. All it was a big round glittery ball with a light shining on it. A ball is all in a hall. And not a very fancy hall, but with a stage. It had to have a stage for the band. The band needed somewhere to stand. That's when there used to be a live band before the discos came, long before the live bands came back again, like now, the Nathan Carters and these ones. No, I'm talking more old dance halls with glittery balls and mineral bars for the minerals and the snacks, the wafer ones and the biscuit ones, a bit of a choice for the pernickety ones. That's the way it was down our way anyway, in the Rainbow and the Granada, or the Wonderland in Bonn. All those dance halls had lovely names and big car parks for the cars. The Volkswagen Beetles and the Datsun Blueboards and the Chip Van. And that's where you'd go when things were going to plan. You'd go outside with your one. You go to the car or someone's car after you had a mineral at the mineral bar, after she said she'd stay on. After you had asked her, did she come on her own or was there someone coming to bring her home? After you'd asked her to dance. And when you asked her to dance, she hadn't said no. A good job. She wouldn't know where to go or what to do. So lucky you when she took your hand and led you out onto the promised land, the dance floor. And that's when the bit of romance took over. Maybe she'd marry you. Maybe she'd stay on. Maybe she'd go outside. Maybe she would go to the car. Maybe she wouldn't go that far. Jeez, it was fucking hard to know, wasn't it? It all happened so fast. And now all that's away in the past when we stood in the hall with the glittery ball and the light reflecting down on us all. and gentlemen, Celtic Fusion. Give them a round of applause. That's the Kieran and Lee McManus. Fantastic. Sorry about the rain, but it's getting close to the land session musicians and. Mrs. Hogan died, God bless her, at the age of 84. And the husband, Johnny, hung a black cloth on the handle of the front door and left it open so that anyone that had known her could come in and pay their respects. There was a great crowd went to the house that night to find out what age she was and to see was she sick or did she die of a sudden. And was she sick, Johnny? Johnny said she wasn't sick, she was in great form, and she ate an egg for the breakfast that morning, something she hadn't done in a long time. And what time did she die at, Johnny? Johnny said she died sometime after she ate the egg. And that's the way it goes. And what age was she? 84. Oh, yeah, well, that was a great age. Johnny said it was a great age to be living at, but not much good of an age to be dying at. The whole women of the country brought sandwiches, and some of them brought tins of biscuits, and them that was close to God brought buns that they had made the day before. They seemed to have inside information. Some called in on their way to bingo, some called in on their way to the pub. Francie Bohan called in on his way home from town and ate a plate full of cheese sandwiches. You'd swear he hadn't ate a bit for a week. Mrs. Frigate, who wasn't Irish, said it was a great party and lost the run of herself. She said she not ate an egg again in a hurry and laughed like an idiot. The priest who had been there all day shook hands with Johnny and went home, and then the senator and the local county councillor come in and shook hands with everybody and went to a meeting. They said they had to go. They left the car running. Some said she had a good life, some said she had a hard life. Most just said she had a long life. Johnny said he used to hear her singing while she'd be making the dinner. Some got it hard to find words of sympathy and others were good at it, and some did a lot of hugging and whispering into Johnny's ear trying to make him cry. Some said nothing at all. And when they said the rosary that night, Johnny looked sad, but he didn't cry. And the ones that were crying were the ones that'd be crying anyway. Mrs. Hogan was 84. She died of a sudden. God bless her. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have another treat for you. We have Gary Curley and Sinead McKenna. And Sinead is from Tyrone, so she's in extra good humour and she doesn't mind getting wet. And she doesn't mind letting that rip of a cheer out of her for the last week. So give them a big round of applause. Thank you.
It's composed by John McCartney, who was here yesterday on the guitar, and then we're going to finish that with a thing called Mother's Magic. So, hope you enjoy the first set. Get up and dance in the rain if you want to now. Don't be shy. Thanks very much. We're going to continue on here with a set of reels. The first one is called The Providence, and the second one is Lucy Campbell's, and the last one is The Honeymoon. So if anyone's here on their honeymoon, this tune's dedicated to you. I don't know if anyone would come here on their honeymoon in the fish and rain now, but sure, at least we can listen to a bit of music. Gary has the shoes off now. Perfect. 1, 2.
that's the honeymoon over now.
The sun's out.
That's it. That's it. Good luck, Sinead. Yeah, we're just going to finish off here with a few more reels. As you can tell, we lick the reels, and a hornpipe as well called the harp and shamrock. So we'll start with the harp and shamrock, and then the rest of the reels. There are a few well enough known tunes, Sally Gardens and the Dawn there. So we'll finish off with these anyways. And again, thanks to Luke and the rest of the committee that organised this for asking us out today. And thankfully the sun's out now, so long may it rain. So, well, hopefully it doesn't rain, but yeah, I think you get what I mean. You get what I mean. So, right, we'll finish off with these here anyways. should
Thanks
take
very
the shoe
much.
with me.
Thank you very much to Sinead and Gary. Fantastic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the sun was just about to come out, but then it hadn't realised that the Clan Bar session musicians hadn't played yet. So this is a group of local musicians, and they're a bit like tight trousers. The biggest job is getting them on. So I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands, and but I just want to leave you with one little piece that I wrote a while back. It's called The Drawer. He was an easygoing man, that's what they said. Easygoing. And he was. My father had a drawer under the bench in the shed. That was his go-to place. To somewhere he went for peace and clarity, or just time. The drawer had divisions made from scalps of wood, divided to hold washers and nuts and split pins and plugs, roll plugs for masonry. It was a farmer's emporium of knickknacks and tools. Everything was there. Anything you'd use to fix farm and equipment or stuff about the house. But it wasn't always what was in the drawer that the old man saw. It was the world around him when it got disturbed. It was his place for reflection and welding and grinding, for sorting out questions and sometimes, not always, finding answers. If we wouldn't do homework or scratch the good car, if there was a row over football or someone let him down somehow, he'd go to the shed and he'd open the drawer and he'd start footering and figuring and scratching and banging. And after some eyes, he'd put all away and he'd take a deep breath and he'd have the last say. Of course he did, so he was the boss. He kept everything there, all the rivets and screws and a packet of lockets that never got used and fuses. He had a compartment for fuses all to themselves, said they were safer there than above on the shelves, and they were. There was a good spanner, it was missing, though he still had the box, and he kept the bulbs in it, and there was a whole section for locks, and he had a load of keys. He had keys for locks that were lost or broken, and good locks with no keys that no one could open. If he had a row with me mother, that's where he'd go, although it wasn't often they had a row. If there was an animal down or a friend of his died, you'd see him through the window just standing inside by the bench at the drawer. As time went on, he went there a lot and he'd open the drawer and sometimes not. The divisions and compartments had started to crumble. Everything was there. It was just such a scramble to find what he wanted. But he still fixed things, or he thought he did. And sometimes he fixed things that were already fixed. Mostly he put on his glasses, marked glasses from the pouch on the shelf, and he tidied the bench and tied bits of twine. And he fumbled through the drawer and said, "Oh my, all these things so precious," and he didn't know why. Such an easygoing man, or so they all said. He kept his world in the drawer, under the bench, in the shed. Thank you. The sun is out, ladies and gentlemen, the Clan Bar session musicians. Thank you. One, two, one, two. One, two. One, two, one, two, one, two.
Well, good evening. It's good to see you all still here. No rain, sun shining. We start off there with two Burren dances, one called Joe Baines, and the second was called the Gypsy Princess. Right, the next thing we want to do is a couple of jigs, James McMahon's, McHugh's, and I think we're finishing off with a hole in the hedge. There's plenty of them around here. Right, there we have those three jigs, as promised. Right, the session group in Cavan are playing the pub every second Friday. It used to be that long ago, you kind of hardly remember. But anyway, no time was complete without a song from Johnny Mac. And he's here standing beside me, and he's coming on now, and I think he's going to give a rendition of Connemara. Is that right?
1, 2. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to start with a little song I first heard from the great P.J. Murray from County Clare. It's a wee song called Connemara. It grew on me when I heard it, and I hope I do it justice. So, here we go. Oh, and Connemara, as I went walking one day, I sat by the sea and I watched the young girls at their play, and they spoke in a tongue that was oh so strange to me, for it was Gaelic they spoke as they laughed and played by the sea. Oh, but who's gonna hear them, and who's gonna tell them well done, and who will rejoice that Irish is our native tongue? So beware, little girls, you're the only white sheep in the fold, and the language of England may be yours before you grow old. We are told to forgive and forget the bad times that are gone. Most of Ireland is ours, and most Englishmen where they belong. But it's hard to forget when those pretty voices I hear sings the language of Ireland that's all so strange to my ears. Oh, and Connemara, as I went walking one day, I stopped by the sea and I watched the young girls at their play, and they spoke in a tongue that was oh so strange to me, for it was Gaelic they spoke as they laughed and played by the sea. Shin Shin, thank you very much.
Right, we had a little waltz there that time. It was called The Beautiful Goldfinch, I think it was, and the jig after that were put in Rafferty's. We'll continue now with a set of reels, and this time we're going to play Miss Monaghan's and The Stone of Destiny. We're definitely not following the program here, but anyway. And unfortunately, we haven't practiced this. But anyway, away we go. Right, thanks very much. Right, we've come to the end of what we have to do this evening, and we never finish a session in Glan without Johnny doing his See You Love Me and his dancing to the Venice Goat at the end of it. So that's the way we're going to finish tonight. Thanks very much for listening. I'm glad that the rain stayed away. I remember years ago when we were thatching and tedding hay and all that, used to love to see the rain coming. I never thought I would have seen the time when I hated to see the sight of it. But anyway, let's go with Johnny.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to us and putting up with us for the last few minutes. I want to finish off with a wee song from the great Desi O'Halloran from Inishboffin in County Galway. I spent a weekend with the great Desi away back at a set dancing weekend over there, and with a mighty weekend. We drank coffee all weekend, and this song was made famous with the great Sharon Shannon band, and it's a little song called "Say You Love Me." So you can sing along or dance along or do whatever you like. So here we go. I waited for you and I've always been through what no longer I can stand. I know you are trying to make up your mind. I've waited as long as I can. Let's hear. I wait for you to say you love me, say you love me. And long for the day you take my hand. I asked again last night, your love was so divine. I've waited as long as I can. And all I can do, said all I can say. I try to make you understand. I wanted you for mine, but I've wasted my time. I've waited as long as I can. I will for you to say you love me, say you love me. And long for the day you take my hand. I asked again last night, your love was so divine. I've waited as long as I can. Take it away. So now I say goodbye, yes, a tear rolls from my eyes. You have made it clear that I can win. No one will ever know the pain that I've been through. I've waited as long as I can. Let's hear you. I wait for you to say you love me. And long for the day you take my hand. I asked again last night, your love was so divine. I've waited as long as I can, no more, for you to say you love me, say you love me. And long for the day you take my hand. I asked again last night, your love was so divine. I've waited as long as I can.
Good on, Johnny. Right, and that brings us to the end of our part this evening. And now I'd hand you over to John Toll.
Thank you all very much. I just want to say a big thanks to the Glan group. It's great to see the great traditions in Glan being handed on to the younger generation, you know, that the older people are handing it on to Johnny, you know, because he's only a young fella. As you can see, he's not in any way stiffening in his feet anyway. And I just want to assure Seamus that when he's slagging the Glan group about it raining, that it never rains in Glan and it rarely rains even in the Burren. But I just want to thank all of the performers, Seamus, O'Rourke, and everyone who performed today and yesterday. It was a joy for us to be here with them, to have them in our area and performing for us. And it's great. I suppose the financial support we got from the Arts Office in Cavan, and I just want to acknowledge that, and Katrina O'Reilly and all of our colleagues, allowed us to have people here, this group particularly, who are relied on to perform at every occasion in the community. And for once anyway, we were able to give them a few euro for so doing. So it's great from that point of view. On behalf of the few people who came together to organise this, I just want to thank Cavan Civil Defence. I want to thank the volunteers and the stewards from Shannon Gales and the few others who helped out with parking over the last 2 evenings. The local staff from the County Council who helped put the 2 evenings together as well, and everyone who helped us along the way. I want to thank those who are joining us online for being with us, and those who've sat out this evening, but particularly those who sat out last night in the rain. We rely on people like yourselves when we're having Flannery or the Cahalbui Festival every year for your support. Without it, it couldn't happen. Because of the funding we got this year, we don't have to get money off you for attending these events. But in the best traditions, Ina is there with a bucket, and feel free to make a donation as you leave. The money will be used for the Christmas lights in Glan and in Blacklion later this year. So if there's no lights, it's because you didn't give enough. And on that note, again, to thank you all very much for your support, and sure, we might do it again next year. Thank you.